Welcome to the Rise Above Show with Patricia Jo Grover, where we help people rise above their challenges and turn believers into achievers. I want to say a thank you to our sponsors, 133 Approved Funding, because they say yes when the bank says no. They've been able to help businesses keep their doors open and people employed. But now that the world's coming back, around, they're helping businesses get started and off their feet and helping people such as myself and my guest today, Eva, who has clients that are looking to find services to help them move forward on their journey. It's like getting a student loan, and they can be able to get those services that they so need. So my guest today is Eva Goulette, and let me tell you a little bit about Eva. Now, she is the founder of Dancing Jaguar Spirit Camp, and it's a program created to teach children the importance of balance between mind, body, and spirit. To reach as many children as possible, Eva shares her specialized Spirit Camp curriculum with adults through their Spirit Camp teaching training program. Her mission is to empower and inspire the children of today so they can create a world of tomorrow, a world where all of us will thrive. Her love for children and spiritual modalities combine to empower children with hands-on training to become peaceful warriors, raising the vibration of consciousness of our planet. Oh, wow, Eva, I'm so happy to have you with us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm really excited to be connecting with you and your audience.
Oh my goodness. I have so many questions for you. This is I'm finding this so near and dear to my heart. So I'm having a hard time containing myself. So your company started when you were recovering from a traumatic brain injury, and we haven't gotten a chance to talk about that, but I also am a TBI recovery. So we'll go into that a little bit later. But so you mentioned receiving downloads of information while you were sleeping. Can you tell us about that?
Yes. While I was recovering from a traumatic brain injury, it was many, many, many years in the recovery process. I started receiving information at 3:20 in the morning, and it was bits of curriculum, like classes and exercises and activities to teach. It started with chakras, to teach chakras to children in really fun ways. Songs, crafts, activities, games, like really fun and playful ways, so that kids actually they were having fun and playing, but they were actually learning really important life skills at the same time. So it started just with content like learning chakras in fun ways. And then I started being asked questions. Would you be willing to work with children and teach this to children? So I borrowed some children from friends of mine and started teaching classes. And I realized that these kids were lighting up and they were thriving because they were making connections to like a part of who they are that is never discussed, the essence of who they are, their spirit. So in the work, I was seeing that this was filling a void that we don't really fill very much in our society. And then the message just kept coming, and it evolved into teaching a full spirituality-based summer camp for kids called Dancing Jaguar Spirit Camp. And over time, I kept receiving messages that were like in the form of a question. Would you be willing to be the face of this work for children? This is the work that the children need all around the world. This will be bigger than you can imagine. Do you have the courage to step through the doors that we're going to open for you? And every time I said like a full-bodied yes to the questions that I was being asked, more doors would open and more people would connect with me. And then the last really big message I got was 2 years ago, the world is ready and the children are waiting. And at first I thought it was validation for the work, for the fact that I'm listening and doing what I'm being asked and sharing it. And then after a couple of months of hearing the same message, I knew I was missing something there. So I realized one day that perhaps I'm supposed to be writing this down and sharing it with other people. And as soon as I made that connection, within the next 30 days, I had people contacting me from 14 different countries around the world saying, there's nothing like this in our country. How can we bring it here? And then, so I started the teacher training program, and then the pandemic hit. So everything shifted, and now everything is virtual, which means that I have a much wider global reach. So it's really exciting.
Oh, wow, wow, wow. That's all I can say is that's amazing. And such a beautiful thing. Oh, I am so excited that I've gotten to meet you. Oh my goodness. And we actually live in the same state. This is so
I
cool.
know. We're not that far away from each other.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah, so cool. So, and we'll talk about your free gift in a little bit, but go ahead. I want people to understand it, because you're going to mention, when you talk about your free gift, talking about finding your inner critic, and we all have them. You know, and I talk about and work with my clients with those too. And, you know, I've heard people call them, you know, put the face and the name on them and call them, you know, the bad guys or whatever they may be. I have heard people call them backseat drivers, but we all have them. There's no ands or buts about that. But you have a meditation that you started using with children, and then you adapted for adults. So I'm really interested in finding out about this. And so will you tell us a little bit about it and how the children respond, and adults?
I would love to. Yes, I would love to. Well, it came as a message from Spirit that I was to create this meditation in a specific way so that it was really fun and playful and interactive for kids. So I give the children in this meditation a remote control to a teeny tiny drone that has the ability to go into their brain and go exploring through all of the corridors of their brain until it comes to the master control room, where they discover their inner critic. And they take note of what it looks like, what it sounds like, what its name is. They identify if it's male or female. And then they use their remote control and they come back out of their brain and they land the drone nearby, because we'll need to use it again in a little while. And then they come out of the meditation and we ask them to draw a picture of their inner critic. And the first time I did this in a camp, there was a child who came up to me with a drawing of what she saw, or the drawing of her meditation. But what I saw was, in the center, a child with a broken heart on its chest, and thought bubbles around that child that said things like, you can't do anything, you'll never be amazing, you're not as awesome as me, you're ugly, you're fat, you'll never fit in. And this child was 7 years old. And I looked at that picture, and she just said, I'm not taking that home. And she went and sat down with the other kids. Now, usually children are really excited to share about their inner critic and what they discovered and what their inner critic typically says to them. And this child didn't want to share, which of course I respected. But I also realized that she didn't throw that drawing away. And most kids, if they don't want to take something home, they just go put it in the trash. And so anyway, I thought it was curious. So I just put it in the back of my binder. And that was my first spirit camp of the summer a few years ago. And I traveled to a different city every single week. So I didn't clean out my binder for the summer until Labor Day weekend. And I found her drawing, and, you know, I know who the mom is, and I knew the mom would want to know what was going on in her child's inner dialogue. So I sent her a picture, and she wrote back to me and said, this will forever change the way I communicate with my child. I don't say those words to her, but I'm a yeller. And if that's what she's hearing, when I get angry and yell, I will never yell at my child again, because she is taking in so much negativity from the energy that my voice is using. So I realized, after having this conversation with the mom, this is a critical piece of information that I can help get into the hands of parents and teachers and practitioners, anyone who works with children, so we can start discovering, when it's still fun and playful for the children to go find out who their inner critic is, we have direct communication with that child. as to what's happening in their inner world. And we can start building the building blocks right then and there for how to start working with negative dialogue and start bringing in the more positive dialogue. That's why the kids need their drone a second time, because we go find their inner champion. And their inner champion does, we layer all kinds of tools for the children to start developing more positive self-talk. But one of them is that their inner champion will mentor their inner critic to teach them how to be more loving towards the child from then on. So I teach that module now in every adult workshop I do, education symposiums, professional development classes for teachers, parent workshops, everywhere I can, so that we can start helping children learn how to be more loving at a really young age. And that, my hope is that will change a lot of the crisis we're seeing in teenagers today. I mean, there's really a critical point with teenagers where they need to have tools to be able to support themselves. And if we can give some of these tools to children as young as 7 years old, man, those teens are going to be in such a good place when they get to those teenage years. So that meditation is what started my journey into also providing a comparable meditation for adults to meet their inner critic. We don't really do it with the remote control drone, but we do it in other ways, but it still provides us with the same end result, meeting the inner critic and the inner champion and understanding how to take that inner dialogue and work with it so that we learn how to become more loving towards ourselves and start practicing self-compassion.
Oh, Eva, I love it. I love it. I love it. Oh my goodness. I've worked with children as young as middle school, and because this is where, again, as a goal achievement strategist, I take people from where they are to where they want to be. Now, at that age, that's when they start trying to really get serious about what they're going to need to take for school and all that. Prior to middle school, they're not really thinking of classes, or the most kids aren't, for that matter. But working, I would love to see if we can find a way to collaborate and the most difference that we can make in these children's lives, the better. Oh my goodness, fantastic. I just love what you're doing. So I can't wait to talk more about that. Oh, so I know I want to ask, in the work with children, how do you teach children about believing they are worthy and capable, and they're not in this alone? Because that's when I talk about the intro to my show, we turn believers into achievers. Guess what that's all about? People have to believe that they're worthy, that they're capable, and know that they're not in this alone. That's why I have guests come on the show and share struggles they may have had in their personal or professional lives and how they've made it through, because it is empowering, educating, and, encouraging for people to hear these stories. So I'm all about that. So I'm excited to find out what you're doing with children.
Well, one of the things that we provide with the children at Spirit Camp is a spirit toolbox. So over the course of the time that the children are with us, we are providing them with tools that they can use once they leave Spirit Camp. And those tools are tools that will help them self-regulate. They're tools that help them connect to their intuition, their higher wisdom. They learn how to work with spirit helpers. We teach them how to do shamanic journeying, so they learn how to work with power animals and spirit helpers. So they start learning that they're never alone because they are connected to all that is. And that's a really big part of Spirit Camp. And one of the other things is teaching children how to trust their inner wisdom and how to start interpreting the signs and the signals and the sensations that their higher wisdom is giving them, that they experience in their bodies. But there isn't typically a course that kids can take that tell them how to interpret those signs, signals, and sensations. So I'll give you an example. We on one of our days, which I call Energy Day, it's all about learning how to work with chakras, what they are, how to open them, how to balance them, how to shield them for protection. And then later in the afternoon, we also teach them about auras, which is our energy field on the outside of our bodies. And we use dowsing rods to show kids how big their auric field is. And that is something that is like magic to the kids. You know, for the first time ever, they're seeing a visual representation of how big their personal space is. So from there, we go into the lesson of what does it feel like when someone comes into your personal space and it makes you uncomfortable? Where do you feel it? And usually, you know, it's in our solar plexus. We get a knot or butterflies or something. The kids describe that feeling differently, but it's usually solar plexus. And I talk about how when we go into a crowded elevator, everyone feels awkward. There's no conversation. We're all in each other's space. And then we teach the children when they receive that sensation in their body, it's their higher wisdom telling them to please pay attention. There's something going on that you may need to take notice of. And if you're looking around and you don't see an adult or your parent's not there, we can teach you how to shield yourself. But if that is a persistent sensation that you're having in your solar plexus, it's time to remove yourself from the situation and go find an adult. So we start teaching them how our higher wisdom provides us with cues as to what's going on around us. And then I want to tell you this amazing story about a 5-year-old child who went to spirit camp, loved it. And then in the fall, she started school full days and going back and forth on the bus right off the bat. So one day during lunch, she started crying because she missed her mom. And one of the older children in the school teased her and made fun of her for crying because she missed her mom. So later in the afternoon, when she was relaying this story to her mom, of course, her mom's heart was breaking. But she said, "How did you handle that?" And she said, "Mom, I knew what to do. I zipped up my chakras. I know how to shield myself." So at 5 years old, this child pulled a tool from her spirit camp toolbox, knew how to use it, knew when to use it, applied it absolutely perfectly in that situation, and left completely not bothered by what happened at all. She just kind of relayed it matter-of-factly. But that's the kind of toolbox that children leave with, practical, simple tools to help them take care of themselves in life. But it's so empowering for children to actually experience these tools and understand how to use them, that this is what helps children believe in themselves. They become so confident because they're empowered with knowledge and wisdom that to date we do not share with children. And this is what is really groundbreaking about this work that I am channeling, that's coming through from Spirit, saying, this is what we need to provide the children on this planet. This is what's going to shift the energy of the world.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. Oh,
I hope I answered your question and all that.
Yes. Oh, yes. I love it. I love it. I love it. And the funny thing is, I work with toolboxes with adults in the clients I work with. So much of this stuff is interconnecting. So it's a beautiful thing. It is all a beautiful thing, serving. Oh my goodness. So now let me ask you, Eva, what gifts do you have for our viewers and listeners?
Okay, so I have provided as my free gift for this the script and the audio version of my adult meditation for discovering your inner critic and your inner champion. So adults can start learning how to separate their inner dialogue and start learning how to identify their inner critic and their inner champion, and then start taking steps to be able to develop more positive inner dialogue so that they become more compassionate towards themselves.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Learn to give ourselves grace.
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much for being with me on the Rise Above show, Eva. And for anyone who'd like to find out more about me, you can go to patriciajogrover.com. I have gifts for everyone if you want to text the word GOAL, GOAL, to 26786. And I just want to take a quick moment and thank again our sponsors, 133 Approved Funding. They say yes when the bank says no. So I have a little video on the way out. And again, thank you for being with us.